Alright, welcome back everyone for another video. So, I'm actually going to do a real quick surprise, okay? I was going to do just Matthew 1 today, but I don't really want to. I mean, I'm still going to do Matthew 1, but I kind of want to dive into John 3 as well. Now, I know I was supposed to be following this Bible study of 2 years and just supposed to be following Matthew, but excuse my language here, I worked my ass off on John. Okay, I really did. I literally started working on John 13 and I stopped that because I started working on Matthew. Now I'm going to continue doing my John studies up until the point where I left off at, so up to John 13. And then I'm going to continue doing my Matthew studies. But like I said, I worked really hard on these notes, and I don't want to wait until the Bible study comes up to John for me to do that. Because that is the last gospel, and that won't be until... If I wait until John comes up, that would be day 257, and that's basically near the end of the year. Quite frankly, I really don't want to wait that long. Okay, I worked hard on these chapters. I want to get them out. So even if I have to do 2 separate videos per time, so like one for John and one for Matthew, I don't care. I'm going to do it because I worked hard on these chapters and I want to get them recorded and out for you guys. So let's go. Since my John is kind of relatively short, it is literally just this and this one. I'm going to do John. Then I will take a look at the time. If I have enough time, I will go into Matthew, because Matthew's the same. Matthew's only 1 full page. But if not, I will do 2 separate videos and record and post them that way. Alright, so going into John. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys have actually taken a look at my last video. Let me go to John 3 first, real quick. Okay, yeah, so John 3 basically starts with the new birth. Okay, so it is talking about there was a man named Pharisees named Nicodemus, and he was a ruler of the Jews. So in other words, he was pretty high up there. He was a ruler and a teacher of the Jews. Let me just correct that. So he came to Jesus by night, and that makes me think that he had been pondering the question, whatever question he was wanting to ask him, for a while, and because he didn't want to be seen, since he was pretty high up. He was pretty high up in the royal system, but he also recognizes that Jesus is the signs that he's doing, and recognizes that he's some kind of teacher, which is why he calls him Rabbi. Now, Rabbi, and explains in like a little side note here that Rabbi means teacher. So he is. So basically, in other words, Jesus is trying to teach Nicodemus how to be born again, and that's why the chapter is called New Birth. It is not talking about like actual new birth, like someone's being born, but it's talking about our new birth. And as you guys read the chapter, if you guys have read the chapter, like really, please go read the chapter first before you guys actually start reading this. Doing this video. And maybe take some little notes on it yourselves and just see one thing. But if you have already read it, you will notice that Nicodemus is confused majority of the time. Because here it says, how can a man be born again when he is old? Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb and be born? So that is question. He's not trying to be rude. He's just trying to actually question, like, what are you talking about? How can you be born again? And so Jesus is not talking about a second birth or a natural birth. He's talking about a spiritual birth. Just to clarify. So in verse 13 here, okay, it says, no one has ascended to heaven, but he who came down from heaven, that is the Son of Man who is in heaven. So Jesus is basically really highlighting himself at that point. And in 14, when it says, and as Moses lifted up the servant in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. Jesus is highlighting at another point. He's foreshadowing. So verse 13, he's highlighting himself, really trying to emphasize the fact that he is the Son of Man who came down from heaven. And then in verse 14, he is foreshadowing, saying that Son of Man will end up lifted up. And there could be two different ways you can look at that. Lifted up as in going back to heaven, or lifted, as most people in the way that I took it, lifted up onto the cross, where he is nailed to the cross after being beat and put onto the cross and everything else. So he's really trying to lift himself up onto the cross and kind of give an emphasis of, hey, take a look at this. This is what I am trying to say. I am the Son of Man. I am here to do so and so. So then we go into the most famous verse, okay? And I absolutely love this verse. It is John 3:16. And it says, just for you guys have not heard it, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Now, I absolutely love this verse for two reasons. One, because it points out these seven wonders, and I'll go into that real quick. Alright, so the seven wonders is, and he did a little chart for it. So the seven wonders is God. It says God the Almighty. He's the authority. And then it says, so love the world. That's the mighty motive, his motive for actually doing this. That he gave his only begotten Son, and that is the greatest gift. And that whoever is the widest income is literally for everyone. Believes in him, and that is the easiest escape, okay? It is anyone who believes in him, so on and so on, shall not perish, and that's divine deliverance, but have everlasting life, and that is the priceless possession. So basically, in other words, it is saying that God the Almighty, he loved the world so much, his motive for why he's doing all of this, that he gave his only begotten Son. So his gift, he's giving his Son to the world, and that whoever, for everyone basically, believes in him, kind of obvious, shall not perish, so you shall not die. So basically, deliverance from the world, shall have everlasting life, and that is the gift. You believe in him because God loved you so much. You won't have to die, and you will have everlasting life. Now, the other reason why I like this verse too is because it really just, in my opinion, if you read it as a whole and not break it down as I just did, it really just shows you how much God loves you and how much he's done for the world. He literally gave up his Son for us to go through this whole entire human experience of being beaten, killed, slandered, abused, and then end up nailed to the cross. That really shows us just how much God loved us and how much Jesus loved us as well, that he allowed all of this to happen. So then the verse goes into 17 and 18, which I love those two as well. So 17 says, for God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He who believes in him is not condemned, but he who does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. So, I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory in my opinion. God didn't send his Son here to condemn us. He sent his Son here to save us. And this one Jew, Nicodemus, goes to John, and he tries getting him jealous. Oh wait, it doesn't say who this one Jew is. I thought it was Nicodemus. Never mind, ignore that point. Okay, so it just says, it just says Jews. Okay, it is just one Jew who goes to John, and he's trying to get him jealous that people are going to Jesus for baptism rather than to John. And John acts with such humility, it is astonishing, actually. If me personally, I probably would have got a little upset, but that's me now, and we're not the same people as we were back then. But he refers to Jesus as the bridegroom. So I love this little story that he comes up with. He refers to Jesus as the bridegroom, and us as the people, the church, as his bride. And he is the bridegroom's friend. Jesus is the one true Messiah coming for his bride. So in other words, Jesus is coming to get his bride, us. And he is just the bridegroom's friend. So he recognizes Jesus' position and who he is, and his need for Jesus. So it says, he comes from heaven, is above us, above all, and he's speaking of Jesus. It says in verse 36, where is it? It says, he who believes in the Son has everlasting life, and he who does not believe the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abides on him. So basically that is summing up the fact that we need Jesus, and there's nothing we can do without him. And that this is probably, this whole entire thing is like probably my favorite chapter of the entire John so far. And it's because, like I said, not just because John 3:16, but because it is really putting an emphasis on everlasting life. It is really putting an emphasis on why we need Jesus. And the fact that John just acted with complete humility and didn't even get upset, didn't get jealous, and he pointed his whole entire sermon to Jesus. So he's basically, in other words, exalting Christ. He's exalting Jesus. He's basically saying that, yes, at this one point I was making way for him. This was what I was preparing the world for. This is what I was trying to do. I did not come here to be him. I came here to do this for him so that he can take over. Because in 20 it says, you yourselves bear me witness that I said I am not the Christ. And he's literally re-emphasizing the fact that he is not the Christ, but I have been sent before him. Just like as I was saying, he was sent here to prepare the way for him, so that when he did get here, he would take over. And that's like I said, that's one of the reasons why I really love just John 3. It's like probably one of my most favorite chapters. And that would be John 3. That's the entire thing. I really just wanted to do John 3, actually. I will do John 4 next week, but it is going to be prepared to be for a little lengthier video, because, let's see, I didn't even take a look at it. John 4 is quite lengthy. there's a lot going on in John 4. And so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 pages worth of John 4 notes. But like I said, it is quite lengthier. There is 54 verses in chapter 4, and there's a lot crammed into it, from the samurai woman to the whitened harvest, to the savior of the world, to the nobleman's son is healed, to the welcoming of Galilee. It is probably one of my other favorite my other favorite chapters, but like I said, it is quite lengthy. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I will upload this one, and then I'm going to go ahead and go into Matthew 1. This video turned out to be a little longer than I wanted to, and with Matthew 1 on top of it, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it under a certain time frame. I'm trying not to make such lengthy videos, so you guys are actually kind of wanting to watch these videos and not just like, oh, I don't want to sit here for half an hour watching a video. You get the point. Alright, I will see you guys in the next video, and you guys have a great day.